What up, fam, and welcome to another exciting episode of NitroNights. I'm back, and we have a very special guest tonight, one that I'm a huge fan of, although I can't quite find him. What up, Mario? Welcome to NitroNights. I'm going to take you for a spin later on, so I hope that comes equipped with airbags, because you're going to need it. Sounds like if a rodeo went through a drive-thru. But guess what, team? I'm back. My hair isn't, but that doesn't matter because we have another exciting episode of NitroNights with a full pack schedule. We're looking into the future on Newsflash. We have very special guest Random Callsign. And like I said before, Mario, get ready. Buckle up, because I'm driving you into coffee tables, into couches, possibly into this chair, as I will take my own little spin in Mario Kart Live home circuit. But I hear you, gentle viewer. Random Callsign, you say? Who is that? Fear not. We've got you covered.
Getting into sim racing may seem like a daunting task at first, but with the help of Ricardo, aka Random Callsign, you can do it on a budget. The 35-year-old from Portugal has been producing YouTube videos for 4 years and is a must-watch for everything from sim racing to more unusual content. Ricardo played his first sim racing title F1 GP at the age of 9, but wasn't immediately hooked. It took some time for him to realize his love for driving, but now he has a dedicated room for sim racing with high-tech lights, despite the fact he's colorblind. With a separate room like his, you'd think that hardcore sims are his one and only passion, but his favorite games aren't even sim racing titles. This doesn't stop him from bringing us high-quality content and showing beginners how to get into the scene without spending a fortune.
And I'm so pleased to be sitting with Random Callsign right now. Now, Random Callsign, I think from here on out, I'll just use Ricardo if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I just love the vid.
Is it weird watching a video of yourself?
I wasn't expecting seeing certain pieces of video there, but that's fine.
Amazing. Now, in the video, it did touch briefly that you have been in content creation for about 4 years, but you actually came into sim racing relatively late to the game, if you will. Can you kind of walk me through what the spark was of inspiration for you to decide on sim racing as your content?
I think it was a natural progression. When I started, I'm mainly a PC gamer, but then I bought a PlayStation 3 back in 2007 or something like that for Gran Turismo 5. Then I started playing Gran Turismo 6, and then my interest flipped to something that was back then very new, which was Assetto Corsa. Assetto Corsa had a lot of road cars, which I like to drive, and such as Gran Turismo 5 and 6 had. So naturally, I progressed to Assetto Corsa, and then that sparked my interest in sim racing proper. So it was just a natural progression.
Okay. Now, speaking of the PlayStation 3, as it said in the video, some of your favorite game titles aren't even sim racing or racing games in general. I'm assuming that they're PlayStation 3 titles then?
No, they're not. They're either very old PC games, especially on micromanagement side. Very old microprose games like XCOM UFO Defense, the first one, Transport Tycoon. I still love it, still play it every once in a while. There's now mods on that called OpenTTD. It's basically a micromanagement paradise. I also love the old Obsidian interplay games like Fallout 1 and 2. And now I've been playing, but sucking a lot at it, Escape from Tarkov. So that's an FPS, a very hardcore FPS, but a wonderful game to play.
I was literally just going to talk about like the smorgasbord of titles that you have there. You basically hit like every single genre. Focusing in on kind of your content, you create such high quality content, not just in your setup, but also in like the content that you're delivering and that you're talking about. What is your ambition or your end goal with this type of content? Like, where do you want to go on YouTube or other streaming platforms?
It's different. It's basically going with the flow at this moment, because I don't do this for a living, so I have to micromanage my time very well, and I try to choose something that I would like to see if I was a consumer. And considering that I didn't start sim racing until very late in time, and because I know for a fact it's very confusing for new consumers to get into sim racing, and because every single piece of videos that you normally see on sim racing YouTube, it's about the most expensive direct drive wheel, and that gives for me the wrong impression of what is sim racing. So I would like to see that this is the way that I create my content. I would like to see something that it would be approachable for the everyday person to get into sim racing, because the most important thing, or the thing that makes it more difficult for new users to come into sim racing is actually understand how much sim racing can cost. And because, like I said, the presentation of everything, it's almost like direct drives, they kind of miss that sim racing can be achieved for very, very little.
Digestible content for like the everyman. In terms of like cost for rig, if I wanted to just like enter in on the cheapest value, and I know you do more in-depth videos, what kind of monetary value would I be looking at? Am I spending, 100, 200, 300?
Zero. It's actually whatever you have, it's whatever you need. Of course, it's always good to have better, but if you have a keyboard and a mouse, it's enough.
I love
you can
that
get
answer.
used to that. You can, if you have a gamepad, this is why GT Sport and Gran Turismo has done a very good job and for priming us for sim racing. You can have a gamepad. And the games nowadays, at least some of them, are very good to use with controllers like Dirts. Assetto Corsa Competizione is not bad at all. Project Cars 2 is not bad at all. So whatever you have. The most difficult issue, of course, is if your PC is able to run it. If you have a console, you can use them on a console. Of course, there your experience may vary.
I mean, I will take that answer any day of the week. I'm super stoked about that because I sat in like a 12,000 euro rig. I was like, this is amazing, but I'll never be able to fit this in my living room or afford it, or afford a living room for that matter. Okay, we now have our quickfire round. I believe our producer kind of walked you through this one, but it'll go like this. I'm going to ask you a question and just like instinct, lightning fast, you just round off the answer. Are you ready?
Ready.
Perfect. So your favorite racing game?
The Formula 1 GP.
Okay, favorite driver?
Ayrton Senna.
Favorite car?
I would say just a Toyota Corolla.
I'm getting some very good answers here. Personal hero of esports racing. I know you and Muscle Gamer are close buddies.
Yes, but in terms of that, I would actually going to say Jardier. The guy is really fast, and he can basically do philosophical questions while at the same time lapping everybody 3 times in the first lap.
Fast and smart. Favorite game overall?
Favorite game overall, that's Fallout 2.
And your first meme content on your channel you remember?
It had to be Initial D related stuff. It had to be. I don't remember it at all, but my favorite one is actually one with Alex Jones.
Okay, perfect. Well, you have survived our quickfire round. Now, before we move into our next segment, we're going to be taking a closer look at the new Mario Kart Live Home Edition. Have you gotten a look at this one?
Yes, but just very briefly.
Well, we've got a video all for you then. Let's check it out.
It's now been more than 6 years that Mario Kart 8 celebrated its release, and the world wondered when a new title of the beloved Fun Racer series might arrive. Last Friday, on October the 16th, the waiting was over. But none would have expected a game like Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. Players control a toy kart connected to their Nintendo Switch console. The kart is equipped with a camera. Via augmented reality, Mario and his opponents are brought to life and into your place. Along with the kart, you get cardboard gates to use as checkpoints and create your very own track. Whether you use real-life or digital obstacles, you can create your own track exactly how you want it. Mario Kart's typical gameplay hasn't changed a bit. You use items to attack your opponents or gain yourself the advantage. Everything that affects you in-game also affects the steering of your real toy kart. Mario Kart Live Home Circuit can also be played together with up to 3 friends, as each player needs their own kart, which costs €100 each, and their own Switch console. This can, however, be quite an expensive task. This doesn't change the fact that the steering of the kart and the whole gameplay experience work pretty well. Even drifting is possible. By collecting coins during races or winning cups, you can unlock cosmetics or new features to modify your course. Right now, it's unclear how long the game will be able to keep you motivated, but given its certain success, it would be a real surprise if Nintendo didn't build on the home circuit's concept.
Now, I have gotten my hands on this game, and it was really interesting. I thought for sure that it wouldn't be as enjoyable as I expected it to be. Are you a Mario Kart or a, what do they call them, Simcade? I guess it's more of an arcade racer game at this point. Are you a fan, or are you just kind of like, give me my Gran Turismos, give me my ACs, give me my iRacers?
I don't mind. I love these types of games. I don't play them much, because I don't even have the time for that. But in terms of Mario Kart is amazing. It's one of the funniest games to play and one of the funniest games to watch other people play it. They're really good.
Now, with this technology, it's using AR or augmented reality technology. Do you think that, I've had this conversation with multiple people, like, what is the next frontier of sim racing? Is it the virtual reality? Is it the augmented reality? Is it the feedback system? Do you think that augmented reality has a place in the future of esports racing or sim racing in general?
I don't know. I've done some AR stuff, but in a completely different context. A friend of mine does drones, and I've done this kind of stuff in dioramas. So you would build like a huge diorama, and you'd have a very small Jeep drone, which you try to do some, 4x4 off-terrain stuff. It's really fun.
Amazing.
But in terms of esports, I don't know.
If you had to build let's say you get this and you had to build a track in your room, would you go all out? Would you get like the cups and the ramps, or would you just like set the gates down and let it go?
Oh yeah, if you're going to do something like this, you do like the train enthusiasts do. You go all the way.
I mean, I think that there's such easy content here. Again, when I was doing it, I didn't think it would be that fun, but I kept smashing it into the coffee table. And I was like, this is super enjoyable, or it's going to be an absolute nightmare for parents. Like, the dog's going to be chasing it. The cat's going to be chasing it. It's going to be running into like dad and mom's foot every single day.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's also one of those fun things you can do as, either as a family or with friends. It's just another way to enjoy what we already enjoy. But this time there is something a little more physical, I guess.
Okay. Well, at this point, we get to go ahead and take a look at our social showroom. Now, what you'll be able to see on your screen is kind of either tweets or YouTube comments, the nice YouTube comments that people have sent to us. And we just kind of have a back and forth. If you want to chime in, you can jump in here. I believe one of them is actually a price breakdown of like different tiers and entries into buying your first rig, which I know you do a lot of content about. And boom, here we go. Danny G with the Sim Racing Pro Amateur and Beginner Simulator spreadsheet, a full spreadsheet.
Okay. Where do you buy? How much money to need to throw at it?
And even links.
Yeah, that's really good. That's helpful. Having a breakdown of tiers is pretty good. I think over here the things that you would try to avoid, at least as in the beginning, would be rigs, because the desk is more of enough if you're going to buy a very inexpensive wheel like a used G25 or a G27. But having something like that does help a lot users coming into sim racing.
I actually was about to go dumpster diving the other day to see if I could find a car seat for building a rig. Okay.
Well, that's part of it.
I know, right? Next one, we've got... excellent. Meme material here. Does your dog bite? No, but it can hurt you in other ways. Sim racers aren't real racing car drivers. And I think you've also done extended content on this. You have a YouTube video that's talking about is sim racing just a game?
Yeah, it is, but it isn't. In the case I was talking about, it's more about contractual work. Of course, there's not a car in the line if you crash a pretend race car. But if you're organizing something and it's supposed to be a big event and you misbehave as a driver because you don't really think it's a real racing car or a real racing experience, then you are missing a point of sim racing, I suppose.
No, I 100% agree. We always get that question, esports, is it a real sport? And things like that. And at the end of the day,
it's
from a
just
money-making
real sport,
perspective.
right?
Okay. Our next one is we're looking at Ride 4, a motorsport game. YouTube comment says, I'm glad that they finally made a racing game that needs track knowledge and an understanding of motorcycles. If you have never ridden one on a track and don't understand how to set up a bike, then it will be hard. It's good to see a game that isn't just made easy for the masses, but actually understands how hard and intense motorsport is. We were having a conversation earlier about kind of accessibility. Do you believe that there's a place for games to be challenging, just to respect, the challenging nature of the sport that it's trying to emulate?
Of course, there is a time and a place for not only that, but also for something that is more approachable. If Ride 4 wants to be an hardcore racing game for motorbikers, all the best. I hope they have a lot of success. But if others try they want to create a product that brings people into motorcycles and make it more approachable, like the creators of Gran Turismo did I believe in the early 2000s. They had a motorbike racing game, and they made it accessible with, of course, some simulation value. All the best.
Perfect. Well, we've rounded up our social showroom, which means that the last matter on today is for me to take a trip around this studio with Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, while Ricardo is my, I think, caster, passenger, random bystander. But let's go ahead and get set up for that one and wish me luck and wish Mario good luck, because I hope I don't break it. Okay, team. Mario's ready. I'm ready. Ricardo, I think you're ready. I know, right? My producer has set up the gates around the studio. I'm sure you guys will get a wide shot of that in just a few seconds, but I'm going to try to drive this little guy around our studio and give you an inside look about how this is going to work. So, without further ado, here we go. Ooh, music. Okay, I'm a very competitive person, and I can't lose to Larry or Bowser Jr. Oh no.
Remember, when in doubt, flat out. Go through the gate, first gate. This is pretty much Portimão GP already.
They're bumping
all
me.
The bumping in, all the action. Go through the gates. Underneath the sofa. Underneath the other sofa. Now for the figure of 8. Or more or less of a... into the gate itself. For more or less of a Suzuka experience.
I'm just
nice action replay over there.
Tearing the gates up. Okay, we may have a problem. Oh no. So I will say that the first time I tried this, I didn't have the other racers turned on. These assholes are bumping. They're pushing
Oh, they bump
me
into
around,
you as well.
And I don't appreciate them.
Almost there, you can do it, just a little punch.
Oh god.
Oh, those bananas are nasty.
Oh no.
Missed the gate there. The under the sofa part is great, so you know where you need to vacuum. You're good. I need this in my life.
Oh god. They're literally doing a victory lap in front of me. Okay, yeah, that's about as appropriate a finish I think I deserved there. Okay. We're gonna pretend that didn't happen. I clearly took first place. Yeah, first. Okay, woo, nailed it. Yes, thank you, Ricardo. Do you have any sign off or anything to distract from my embarrassment right now?
Yes, don't watch this again and again and again, but especially on this last part. Don't do it. Thank you very much.
That is fair. Thank you so much. Be sure to check out Gamer Callsign on his YouTube channel. He makes amazing content. Until then, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It was lovely getting a chance to talk to you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, reminder, guys, while Ricardo will not be joining us for the rest of the show, we still have so much more to cover, including our Newsflash, where we get a look at Cyberpunk 2077. So without further ado, let's take a look. With a lights to flag victory, John Robertson won the third round of the iRacing Rallycross World Championship. Robertson opted to take his Joker on the first lap and dominated the race thereafter. The playoffs of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series started in Charlotte last week. Mike Conti unfortunately had an engine issue and had to retire during the race. Then on lap 23, Leahy missed a turn, though he still managed to finish 4th. The win went to Bobby Zielinski in the end, who won his 6th straight road course and locked himself into the final playoff round. Congratulations. In the opening race of the F1 Esports Pro Series, the field took to the Bahrain circuit. Almost immediately, last year's champion David Tonitza made contact and was forced to box right after the opening lap. From there on, Tonitza didn't manage to recover and drove home in a lackluster last place finish. The F1 Esports Pro Series is back. At the front, the Alfa Romeo Race Orlen esports team of Jarno Opmeer and Daniel Barizne had their hands full with last year's Constructors champion Johnny Tormola. The three were swapping places for most of the race and battled each other for position in fierce fights. The race ended with the two Alfa racers in a stalemate for the last lap. In the end, Opmeer brought home the victory with Barizne second and Red Bull's Marcel Kiefer third. Race 2 introduced F1 esports to the street circuit of Hanoi. F1 2020 features the Asian circuit for the first time. In the second race, Champ Tonitza performed better and was set up for success as well with a solid second-place starting position. Renault's Nicolas Longuet led the race for the most part, but in the final laps, Tonitza managed to overtake and secured himself the win. Race 3 brought a known face back to the top, with Jarno Opmeer getting his second win in Shanghai. Tonitza had technical difficulties again in Race 3 and thus didn't even manage to finish. Afterwards, he took to Twitter to explain. It's a shame that we had issues twice during this event, but every single team and the whole organization knew that the sim wasn't ready for this. Good luck for next races. Last up, we have some good news with Cyberpunk 2077. One of the most anticipated games of all time arrives this November. Developer CD Projekt Red just revealed the drivable cars in the game, and they are future-tastic. But not only that, the iconic Porsche 911 Turbo from the 80s is going to be available as the only known real-world car as of now, and it's going to be the car of Keanu Reeves' character Johnny Silverhand. If that isn't good news, I don't know what is. And that's our show. I do hope that Mario gets checked out for some of those head injuries, but until then, you guys can get involved with the conversation over at Twitter, overtake_GG. Be sure to use the hashtag NitroNights. And reminder, we have a very special episode next week on NASCAR, so you don't want to miss it. Until then, see you next time.